Manuel, can you go back first? Where did your football journey started in the first place?
Okay, well, firstly, football started, from home. I'm originally Nigerian, but I grew up in New York. To Ambassador Ben Okoyen. We're actually diplomats, and football started from me watching Didier Drogba on the TV and doing that celebration, and my favorite color was blue, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna support Chelsea because Didier he wears blue and he does that whole celebration, and I was like, all right, you know what, this is something, I want to do this as well, for a long period of time I had long hair. I had
Okay.
long hair, didn't look too well on me, to be completely honest. But I really wanted to be Didier, so I used to play for fun. Never really thought about being professional at all. Didn't really care for it. I just wanted to score goals and do Didier Drogba celebration. And until I think it was high school, I believe, in New York, where I met this coach called Brooksy. Brooksy was kind of like one of the first people who believed in me, and he was like, "Yo, you have something." Truth is, I don't really know what people oversaw in me. Even my mother was like, this kid can ball, my mother obviously was the number one person, but yeah, I'm both-footed, and I think I was both-footed because a lot of times when I was playing, without wanting to be pro, by the way, I used to kick the ground a lot because of poor technique, and
Mm.
it really like I'll injure my big toe on my right foot, so I'll start kicking with my left again, So I think that's probably why I started using both foot a lot. I don't think I was born bow-footed. I think so. But yeah, Brooks, he really believed in me, and then he reshaped my ability, my talent. I was always fast, always super fast and strong, So maybe that's what he saw, that it's a unique trait to have for the game. And then he
Mm.
started teaching me to control the ball. That it was a long sessions. I didn't have any hope, if not for that man, to be completely honest. All I did was push the ball, run, and shoot it with my big toe. Score the goal and DJ Drogba. That's literally all I used to do, you know. But yeah, the man, he brought my confidence into the game. I used to be, I was smaller back then as well, and was scared to play with the big kids. And he told me, like, football isn't about the size, you're big in here, And so I was like, okay, I started playing with him. I started playing with in that time in high school. We used to idolize, the varsity kids because they were something else, man. Those kids were built as well, and they were talented. Brooksy was till this day, I feel like that's one of the best developmental coaches in the game. And thanks to Brooksy, I started chasing football. I started chasing football, in a more serious level. Never really cared too much to be professional, but I just wanted to put more time into training, and playing. And then I started traveling the world to play, First time I actually, saw the possibility of me being professional was when I went to England, and then I got scouted. I got scouted to play for a Premiership club at that time. I got called for the showcase and whatnot. Unfortunately, I broke my ankle like 5 days to that showcase. But that I didn't let that stop my story. I was never gonna be one of those cliche people who already spoke about, oh, listen, I'm about to go to this Premiership side, and then just
Mm.
out of nowhere. I got injured, and that's all the story is gonna, right. People are not gonna remember, or people weren't there when I was with a broken foot for how many months being bedridden, So I said, no, 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 I'm not gonna let people write me off of those cliches. So that's why that moment is what made me, stand up and push, so I can make sure I end up still going to play professional, and still make a career out of this, and let people know me for something in this game, So that's kind of where, it started.
Mm. How old were you when you received like this injury? Which age was it?
17, I was 17.
17. And what would you say, what was like the driving mindset behind it? Because so many
Man,
players, they have like this injury. How can you bounce back?
I think I see this all the time. I'm a weirdo. I'm actually a weird fella, because Um, I I had a lot of people who believed in me, Till this day, I still get messages from people who say, please come back and play. Please play, please play, you know. I always like heard my mom at the back of my head. You know, I always heard Coach Brooksy and some of the other coaches on the way because there's so many coaches, you know, who believed in me and put in the time. You know, Brooksy, you know, he runs a whole camp and whatnot, but this guy would bring me in and you know, let me come in for free, you know, to just train and because he saw something in me. His belief was in me from when I didn't even believe in myself. When I only started believing myself when I got scouted. You know, that's the only time I
Mm,
was like, oh shoot, I probably got something here. You know, these guys are not just talking, you know. I was like, "Ah, I probably really got something over here." So when I broke my ankle, it was just like, no, no way. Ain't no way all of these people did all of that for nothing, you know? I
mm,
can't let this stop me, you know? And that day, I remember I cried. I was crying for probably up to a week because it was like just right there, 5 days, literally was 5 days. I remember when I got into the hospital, thank God, this was in England. So, thank God for the NHS. God bless the medical system over there because it was so seamless and free. I got in and the first thing I asked, yo, can I play by Friday? That's what I was asking, can I play by Friday? And the lady looked at me like I was crazy. She said, Friday? You need to be thinking about even walking. You know, I was like,
cra-
what? Is that bad? I didn't feel it. I was in so much shock. I did not. I know I remember I couldn't stand, but I just felt like, oh, it's just a bad sprain, you know? And yeah, she was like, "Are you think I need to I will never forget her voice. You know, I need to think about walking." And then the doctors, when four doctors walk into the room, that's one of the scariest thing ever. That's when the tears started dropping. I saw four doctors. I remember it was one African doctor, no, one African doctor, one white. I think he was British, and then there was three other Indians who walked into that room, and I was like, oh my God. And they just all whispering. And I was like, oh my God. And then the African guy says, bro, forget football. Oh my God.
oh my God.
I said, no, 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 no. That's when I started crying and I cried and I cried. From that day, I cried for a week. I'm not even exaggerating for a week. Starting from that day, I started crying. I wasn't crying about the pain. Okay, yeah, the pain was, you know, it was very painful, but I was crying a lot about, you know, just losing the opportunity. And I was so doped up on morphine, like it was insane. You know, I was loads of roller coaster of emotions and whatnot.
Mm,
But I think my mind is what got me healed, and you know, I came back. Doctors were telling me I'm probably going to take a year or two to fully recover. You know, for me to even be able to, you know, walk properly. But I need to make sure I do the right thing so I can be able to walk properly again and the bone heals correctly. In 4 to 6 months, I was already up. I was up from that bed, and you know, and even with the cast, I was juggling. I was juggling with the
mm,
cast. The moment they told me they could take the cast off, my dumb ass said, "I'm ready. I'm going to go play again." You know? But yeah, I think the mind is the greatest, you know, tool. I think it was just that resilience and just hearing those people who believed in me back in my head every time I was, you know, bedridden and playing Fortnite. That's what pushed me. I said, no, I'm not letting my story end. And also, I was like, I will never be a cliche. I would never let people say, oh, I was gonna play here, you know, but then I got injured. I was like, no, that's not gonna. Mm-mm.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really inspiring. Like, let's say for young players, right?
Mhm.
And this young player face like similar path as you, injured. Which kind of advices you would give him to like coming back and having this mentality?
The advice I'll say is, you did not waste all that time for nothing. You know, because there's a lot of training, especially when someone says they want to be pro. There's a lot of training and sacrifices. Do you know how many parties I didn't go to that I could have gone to? Do you know how many job opportunities that I could have? Because I like to believe I'm a sound individual. You know, I was always chasing something and very driven, you know. Plus, I'm very dedicated and discipline. So there's so many opportunities to make so much money that I probably would have had as well. So many other friends, so many other possible girlfriends that I could have probably had, you know, so many things that I sacrificed for the game. It doesn't just end because I got injured. Injury is part of the game. You can't avoid it. It's how you deal with it that, you know, that makes you. So it's not really stopping you. And one thing you got to know is like if you break a bone, it comes back stronger, you know? As long as you don't give up, you're gonna come back stronger. So
Mm,
that would be the advice. Don't throw away all the sacrifices for nothing.
okay, interesting. And then afterwards, like you played in so many different countries, which
Hmm.
kind of like lessons, not only as a player, but also as a person, as a Emmanuel, you learned in different countries, in different like languages also. What were like these some lessons for
Culture,
you?
culture. I learned a lot of culture, man. It opened my mind, and I think that's one of the most I think even when I get kids in the future, if I do, anyways, the traveling the world is everything. You need to see different cultures, understand different realities, and your mind opens to a lot of, you appreciate a lot of things more, you know? You appreciate a lot of things way more. I remember when I was signed to like my ex agent, he made me go train in the slums of Africa. I never done that before. I'm originally Nigerian, but I've never played football in Nigeria. I've never been with the locals. Whenever I was over there, my folks are diplomats. My dad's an ambassador, so we were always in like the White House, basically, and or in super top hotels or in posh neighborhoods. We never really saw the reality of what being a
Mm,
Nigerian is. So when my agent did that, I was like, this motherfucker crazy. Like, what is he doing? Bring me over here, And yeah, I had this real posh mentality and whatnot. Like, but then I went there and it shaped me. To be honest, it unlocked, you know, um, part of my genetics that I didn't know I had because now I feel like the super soldier now, but it also made me appreciate so much. Like look at all these people train so hard. They train harder than anyone all the people I've ever seen before. The Africans train harder than everyone, whether they're training the right way or developing the right way or not, but the mindset is it's crazy. They appreciate the smallest things. They're always happy even if they don't have a clear path on, okay, this one day would happen. They just train regardless and train really hard. So it made me really appreciate the game a lot more. And then overseas, just speaking different languages, you see how how this game really connects everyone together. It gives you a different view into the game. And then you're like, all right, now I'm even more determined. I appreciate this a lot more. You work really hard and you try to shape your life around this and make sure something comes out of it.
mm, interesting. What would you say like discipline? How important is discipline pursuing like your dream? Because I have the feeling that right now, nowadays, the younger generation, they want things very fast. They say, okay, I can get it in 1 year or 2 years, right? What is like, how do you define discipline and how important is it?
I feel like the younger generation now don't even want to be pro. They just want the feeling of being pro, the look of being pro. Thanks to Instagram and all the media and whatnot, people just want to look like they're pro without being pro you know so one thing I say is like there's no get it fast in football. Also the pressure from hearing Yamil Yamal, the top of the game, is only 17 years old, or this other kid who's only just signed his first pro contract, 15 years old, or signed the, hearing those young ages and whatnot. That's great accomplishments for those young players. But what people don't really understand or see is how those young players started. They didn't just wake up one day and they're in, Barcelona. You know, everyone's path is different. Everyone's journey is different, but it all starts one place, which is from the foundations. They don't post the foundations. We're not seeing the foundations, and that's the reason why these guys are all, they want to be there. They want to be there right now. No, players need to be more aware of the foundations, what it really takes to be pro. And if you started early, just like when Yamal started earlier, possibly you could get to that level earlier if you started late. Because Yamal didn't just start at 15 and he was just pro like that. He started way earlier than some other people. And of course, maybe some people's, chances of luck is different from the others. That's why he probably gets fast tracked or whatever. But you can't just wake up at 16 years old, and you just only started training one full year, you've done real training in football, and you expect to just be pro the next year. No, you have to start from a long time ago. Keep training consistently because it's not overnight. Football is not overnight. You have to consistently keep training, stay in the right program, make sure you're training the right way and in the right system. Eventually it will happen if it's for you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
That's don't go on Instagram. Don't play football to be, to be a media player. You don't do that. If you go on Instagram, you would be lost. It's entertainment. The social media is entertainment. It's not the reality of what it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I agree 100% with that. And especially like often I see like players, they compare themselves with like Messi, the Ronaldos, the Lamines, but they don't see that like these players, they are like 1 in 100 years.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
possibility is like so small to be like this person with this
yeah.
perfect genetics and then the perfect training, the environment, everything. And that's
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
crazy. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And I tell them all the time, like, yo, you don't have to be Messi Ronaldo to be professional. You can still be up there. There's so many other pros that are making millions, and still enjoying that pro dream, that pro life. You don't have to be Messi, Ronaldo, or whatever. You can fight as hard as possible to get to that. But if you don't kill yourself. Those
Yeah.
guys are just one of, like you said, 1 in a million.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned right now also like they're making million and also the business part of the game. How do you
Mm-hmm.
see football as also big business part and as an opportunity into entrepreneurship?
Football is a business, plain point blank, simple. Football. Oh, let me change it. Professional football is a business. You know, if you want to just play football, if it's just football you're looking for, just to enjoy the game. It's not, of course, it's free game for everyone to be able to play. But when you talk about the professional, being professional in this modern day, I'm sorry, you have to invest in yourself one way or the other. If you're not investing in a network or a contact or something yourself, you need to get better footage. Go get cameras. Go hire someone to come record your games. Invest in exposure. And go into LinkedIn. You have to invest one way or the other. It's impossible that you spend $0 and you get into the professional game. It's impossible. Back in the day, of course, when the game started and it wasn't as big of a franchise as it is right now. Of course, they're looking just like anyone when you start a business, you have to drop free value first. Free value, free value, free value attract a lot of people. Now, where they see big value and interest in this, all right, now it starts at this price, and people are compelled to pay that price because there's a lot of value here and the public wants it. Now football has been built so high that it's the value is insane. This is football is, like I said, it's bigger than the drug game. Like football is the biggest franchise in the entire world. So to get into that professional scene where you want to go make the millions and whatnot, you need to invest in yourself one way or the other, to be exposed. Which is why I say football is a business. So with that, there comes multiple opportunities in this game to help players. Unfortunately, with something as big as that, you still find a lot of people who are scamming people. And this is one quote. I think one day I'm going to go down in history for being quoted with this when I say football is bigger than the drug business, is because a lot of these people are high on this drug and people are taking advantage of that, because it's an emotional driven business, and so a lot of people are very emotionally, attached to this game. And yeah, that's why you see people that they don't tell them straight exactly how it is. They don't give them the reality of how they're gonna, how they're gonna end up if they're going this way or they're going the other way. They're not letting them know that the football is a business. Not everyone is gonna make it.
Mm,
You know?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we say like after your career, you transition to entrepreneur, and now what is your role right now, and what are you giving also back now to the game?
Okay. Yeah. See, I started my company with the goal of helping players navigate against the wrong, making the wrong mistakes, doing the things that I did wrong into the game. I mean, in this game. So my what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to be different than from the rest of the people in my niche, or my competitors. Basically, I'm not the only one who can do what I do, getting players to teams and whatnot. The people in this business that are more viral are the ones that are giving the false reality. you know I'm here to educate. I'm here letting people know about the reality of what this game is, which is a business, and saving in hindsight, saving their lives, because you find players who are going to, playing this. I like to call it Instagram football. They go to the places where that look the most flashiest and whatnot, and they want to be able to take a picture and say I play for X team, but not really going to progress in their career, and they're probably paying for 40,000 each year to be there just because of the badge. And what that does to them is you're just throwing a lot of money into that with no return. It's just silly investment. And maybe you're not sponsoring it. Your parents could probably sponsor it right now. They're throwing a lot of money down the drain for you one day to go work in McDonald's. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Mm,
not worth it. It's not worth it. If you want to invest in I know I did say in professional game you have to invest in yourself, but invest in the right way, get exposure, play the right leagues, get good cameramen to, come record your games, get good analysis so you can have, better exposure, better profile, because that's what it is in professional football. It's not really about the talent, it's about the profile. So you got to build that so you're getting seen and you're getting pushed. And, instead of throwing, tens of thousands just to take a picture for Instagram. Do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I'm here trying to reform the mindset of these players. I'm trying to have these people understand exactly. It's also helping these parents, you know. Unfortunately, like I said, this game, it's like bigger than a drug business. Football is a drug and people are really high on it. What I'm trying to do is make these guys use responsibly. I was once high on the drug and I'm using responsibly now. So I'm trying to teach these guys how to do it. I've had players, I had this lady, I think it was a mom. She blocked me. She blocked me because I was teaching her to use responsibly. But she's so in there that they're probably gonna die, in this drug. She says, no, my baby can't play, third or fourth division club. Like his talent is too big for that. I'm like, yeah, he's probably a great talent. But if you feel so strong about your kid is Ronaldo or Messi, he should already be professional then. Do you understand what I'm saying?
mhm,
People don't like to hear that. They don't like to
yeah,
hear that at all. You want him to actually get there, he needs to go through foundations. What you see on the TV, the Yamil Yamal, whatever, go through where they went through first. They don't want to do that. They just want to be there.
yeah,
And does it make sense to get what you don't deserve? It doesn't make sense. It does not, you know? She
yeah,
blocked me when I said, yeah, he needs to start off in the lower tier and work his way up. If he's good, one season alone in the lower tier, everyone wants a crack player. Everybody wants a great player. If he's as you say he is, that's it. If he goes up there. But no, she would rather give you $80,000 to push him to a La Liga club where he can take pictures for Instagram. And then that happens, she's probably gonna find someone who will take that money and put him there. And then when he goes and he plays and he has no progress in his career, that person's a scammer. Not,
mhm,
oh, we're not ready. It's never that. The realization is never, oh, we're not there. No, it's the person, it's duped you. No, you guys want to get scammed. You don't want to face that reality. You don't want to. I'm not telling people to work with me. I'm 100% going to make you, professional to the top of the game. No, I'm saying if you have any chance of being professional, I have the right path to make sure you're going up there and saving your pocket, saving you from bad decisions. You invest and make your career into, whatever it is you want to make it into. Because everybody wants a crack player. That's where the millions are.
yeah, 100%. And I think also like everybody wants the view, but nobody wants the climb. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like very hard for people when they see their reality, when you just put the mirror
Yeah.
and say like, look, like if you're so good, then you would be professional right now.
Yep.
But do the steps. And I think that's very like hard to understand that, like, oh no, it was my dream and why I can't have it now.
Yep, yep,
What
yep.
what would you say, like, as an entrepreneur, and especially like in this business, you are faced also with so many adversity, sacrifices, right? And doing the work without seeing something, what is the experience as an entrepreneur? Because I think that's very similar also to pursuing a
Jeez,
pro.
correct, correct, correct. Quickly before I even talk, push on that, I had this one friend who was also talking to me about his journey, his story, and he's talking about, do you know how much work and sacrifice, that players put into football, and they might just be putting you know, that work, that sacrifice, that determination, all that good quality into the wrong thing to be successful. If they put that into something else, they could have probably been up a long time in their life. Because at the end of the day, most of these guys are playing football to be successful, to get out of whatever situation they're in or whatever. Put that same energy into something else, you're up. So talking about entrepreneurship, I took everything I learned from the game to put it into this. It's the same thing. Me trying to be professional, it was a long time of me training hard as well without seeing results, but I did it because of the passion. I did it because of, the belief, the love I have for what it is I was doing. You have to have the same thing in entrepreneurship, in whatever it is that you're trying to go into, or you're trying to push all that great values, that great quality. You don't let it just go, because I did say people say football is life, but they misunderstand how it can be life. It's not life where you throw your life away for it to be professional. And if it doesn't happen, you are done. No. A successful person doesn't just dream. Yeah, you have to have crazy dreams. If your dreams are not big, you're not scary, then you're not dreaming big enough. But you have to dream realistically, and to be successful, you have to take that insane dream, tear it apart and reform it, bend that reality to be able to work for you. So that's exactly it. I was a big dreamer, wanted to play football, took all the values and everything I learned from that. I found my success in my story, in my journey. I didn't get to the Premier League, which is fine. I still played in a lot of high division clubs, in the second division side. I got to my national team, to my national team at the youth level. I enjoyed the game. I experienced a lot of different cultures. I went to so many different parts of the world playing. I speak multiple different languages now. Those are a lot of big wins that people overlook. And I take everything I learned with that, push with the same energy I was pushing with ball into something else right now that I have passion for. So again, you still have to be passionate and love what it is you're doing for all of that to work.
Yeah, amazing advice. Manuel, the last question is like, when you and I would die tomorrow, which kind of leading advice or lesson you would give to the younger generation?
Mm. Hmm. That's there's so many advices, there's so many advices. I think I will start by saying use this drug responsibly. Don't throw your life away to football. And when I say that, I mean don't be delusional about it. I don't like people. I mean, I know it's a harsh way to say it, because people might take it like I'm saying stop dreaming or forget about football. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying enjoy the game. I'm saying push for all your dreams. Dream big. Make sure your dreams are out of this world, because we only have one life. But whilst doing that, you should face reality. And bend reality to work for you, not the other way around. For example, I want to be professional. I want to be in the Premier League. The Premier League is going to be there. Nothing's going to move it. With or without you, multiple players are going to go through and go through it or whatever. It's left for you to bend that to work for you. If it's not, you have to find something else that you can do, to make, at the end of the day, you have to take care of your mama. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Mm.
my response my advice to them is chase your dreams, but chase it, responsibly, Don't throw it away into to false promises. Don't feed into the emotion because football is not it's a business, You can't be emotional about it, so I think, yeah, I think that's one of the many things I will be telling these players. Remain disciplined, push for your dreams and whatnot, and try and listen behind the emotion. Once you take emotion out of it, I feel like you'll be able to make easier decisions and navigate correctly into the game.
Amazing. Thank you, Manu.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for, having me on this. It's part of what I wanted to do, when I decided to start Ian. I'm trying to reform the minds of footballers. Like I said previously, the mind is the strongest part. It's the biggest and most important thing in this game. The will to wanting to be great, the will to push you, the will to accomplishing something, it's all here. And the difference between the non-pros and the pros, again, all there. Yeah, yeah, to be completely, anyone can train, anyone can get up and run and do the drills, anyone can do that. But who wants it more? Who wants it more? It's all in here. What the decisions you make, it's all in here. And I'm very big on that, making the right decisions. Getting to elite decision making is what makes you a professional on and off the pitch. On the pitch, the best decisions obviously creates the best players, and that's where you be pro. Off the pitch, all right, I want to be professional. Do I have to know the windows that I'm pushing into. I have to know the right opportunities that I'm going to. I have to know what I'm being sold. If someone is giving you an opportunity to go to somewhere that's feeding your emotions, oh, I can go play in La Liga club. I can go play in first. Well, if you can go that, do you know how many millions of professional footballers with high transfer market values that are waiting? They're on a waiting list to get on a contract. And you yourself haven't even started your journey and you feel like you can easily walk into those first, second division clubs. Can take emotion out of it, and make the right decisions, of the pitch as well. And if your window passed, to getting to where it is you want to, you make the right decision again and choose something or go a route that can still make you successful, and don't throw away everything you've sacrificed with this game just like that. You know, I love to
Mm.
see a bunch of footballers who have, experienced this game, have sacrificed a lot out of it to still transition into, something into the game. There's a lot of, this is the biggest franchise in the world. There's a lot of money in football, and there's different ways you can help or go get into the game. You can be a trainer, you can be a coach, you can consult, you can build a network and push players. There's so many different things in this, for you to still stay connected into the game, because your experience, especially those who really push the game, far, and in a professional system, there's so much you can still give back to others who wants to. Because I die tomorrow, my son dies tomorrow, my son's son dies tomorrow, football still stays. It keeps going, generation and generation and generation.